Hello. Hello everybody and welcome to our Saturday live. It's lovely to be here again. We've got the doors closed today because it's a bit windy outside. So it's going to rain actually out there. How are you all this week? Do say hello if you're there. Send me a like or a thumbs up or wave. Say hello. So I know that you're there. You know me, I'm going to carry on talking anyway. Just going to refresh my page so I can see who's there. On my 200% in, zoomed in page. Oh, I don't know what. Oh, I'm on notifications. That's why. I'm on the wrong part of my page. How are you all this week? Have you had a good week? We've been doing lots of sorting out. We did the other thing apart from getting the jet washer. We also hired a skip this week. It's amazing what you get excited about, isn't it, in these times? It was quite exciting, wasn't it?
Very exciting.
So we will be clearing out the sheds this week. It's actually over at my mum's place because she's got a drive. So we're clearing out her garage and our sheds this week. So that's our plan. Who's here? Morning, Charlie. Hi, Suzanne. Is it sunny? Oh, it's sunny and windy in Guernsey as well. Yes, it's very windy here. Hello, Justine. What are you up to? Finishing off couture trousers. Oh, lovely. That's good. That's good to hear. And then you're going to do some of the refashioners things. I saw you were, I know that'll be good for you. Morning, Pat. How are you today? Hi, Coral. Hi, Sally. Are you not getting notifications on yours?
I can't get the comments, so I can't help you, I'm afraid.
Why is that?
I don't know.
Oh, no. It's all down to me.
It's all down to you.
Amy is here, but she's being quiet because you can't see any notifications. That's a bit strange.
I know. Hello to anyone that said hello.
Sally's just said hello. Susan's saying hello. She's got a new laptop. Oh, that's exciting.
Ooh.
I love a new toy.
Are we in HD?
Yeah. I hope not. God, you see all my wrinkles. Hi, Maggie. How are you? How's your couture jacket going? Hi, Bonnie. Bonnie's here.
Hi, Bonnie. Oh, why can't I see
She's
that?
got her morning coffee. I drank my tea before we went live, so I won't be having cold tea today. Hi, Jilly. Oh no, altering scrubs. Altering is, you might as well just start from scratch, Jilly. I have to say, I hate altering things. Suzanne's had a haircut.
What?
What?
So jealous.
Oh, beautician and optician as well. Blimey. It's great on Guernsey. You're well ahead of us. I did get a text from my nail technician this week. She's hoping to open up mid-July, so I've got my appointment for that as soon as she opens. Oh, Julie's saying she wished she had started the scrubs from scratch. Oh, yeah, altering can take so much time, can't it? You might as well. You may have to make them a lot smaller then, Jilly. So what have you all been up to this week? We've been busy as usual. We filmed the Get to Know Your Overlocker workshop, which is now available as a class that you can buy, and that was fun. Hi Jane, how are you?
Hi Jane.
Maggie's still working on her couture jacket. Oh, Claire Mole's got a new laptop as well, super speedy laptop. Oh, everyone's getting all techie. Morning Sue, how are you? Charlie said he's made a t-shirt out of 2 carrier bags. That's very sewing bee. Oh, Suzanne's obviously got some new glasses after I visited the optician because she can see now thread her needles. I have to put extra glasses on even with my contact lenses to thread needles sometimes, Suzanne.
The double glasses look is quite special.
Yes, I do that a lot. Oh, Linda's finally started a couture jacket. Well done, Linda. You'll enjoy that. Morning, Janet. How are you? Janet's got the overlocker class. Oh, Julie's had to take the scrubs in by 2 inches.
Oh.
But she's got a hair appointment on the 8th of July, so good news. That's my birthday. Jen is here. Hi, Jen. She's looking forward to the Long Island iced tea.
Hi, Jen.
We have loads of alcohol over
It's
there.
going to be a boozy afternoon.
It is. It's looking very, very busy in the corner over there. So yeah, the overlocker class is filmed. We finally did it. So that's the Get to Know Your Overlocker class, and we filmed it exactly in the same way that I teach it at the sewing rooms, the same order, looking around the machine, looking at the accessories, showing you how to thread it, and practicing lots of different stitches, just the basic stitches as well. Then we do a second overlocker class where we work with fancy threads and make a little bag, but this is just the first overlocker one, just to get you be more confident with your machine. So that's available now on the website if you need that, and I also send you some notes and things to go along with it. We also, I've been practicing my techie things this week, and I've put all of the Facebook Lives that we've been doing for, I think it's 11 weeks now. 11 Facebook Lives are all on YouTube now in a playlist, so you can also see us on YouTube to catch up what we've all been up to. Oh, Suzanne's ordered some lovely lining for her blazer. Now needs to find some fabric. Well, that's a fun thing to do, isn't it? Get lots of samples, Suzanne, of lovely fabrics. So you can see.
There we go. I can see them now.
Got the comments now.
Yeah, I just had to write a comment to be able to see it.
Morning
Weird.
to myself.
Yeah, I just said morning.
Hi, Barbara. How are you? It's nice to see you.
So many comments.
Suzanne's going to take the overlocker class once the children are off to school. When do your children go back, Suzanne? They go back. Are they all going back next week, or is it just certain year groups? I think most of ours are going back in a couple of weeks. I've got a friend who's a primary teacher, and she's been going in to work with her reception and year 1 children. Hi, Julia. How are you? So what have you been up to this week, everybody? I saw actually Julia posted a picture of some lovely Harry Potter scrubs that she made this week.
Hi, Julia.
They were great. What else have you all been up to? Let me have a look. Sally posted a lovely picture of a dress she's made for her granddaughter Annabelle. That was lovely. I bet she loved it. How do you clean the mechanics of the overlocker? Yeah, pastry brush is good. You can get, actually, Jilly, you can get an attachment. I've got a Henry vacuum cleaner, and you can buy an attachment that goes on the end of the Henry vacuum cleaner. Lots of little small bits for getting right inside. And I got that from Jacot's online.
Jen is asking who bought silk dresses from eBay.
Oh, that was Margaret. Margaret put some pictures of some silk dresses that she bought from eBay, and she was asking for any tips on what she could transform them into. I think she, Jen bought one for £4, 100% silk. That's great. You can join the Refashioners Challenge then, Jen, and make something else out of a silk dress. Yeah, that was Margaret. And Margaret also finished a lovely shift dress in a border print fabric, which was really pretty. And Charlie's saying he got drunk on my pina coladas last weekend. Wait till you see the Long Island iced teas.
Mum got a bit drunk on the pina coladas too, didn't you, Mum?
It's not Amy's favourite one, so I drank both of them. Julia's bought some silk vintage saris. Oh, that's lovely.
Hi, Patricia.
Hi, Patricia. How are you? Saris are great to make into dresses. What I always suggest with those, often saris have got a border print, which is not always in the right place, so I cut the border off and then make up the dress and sew the border back on again. In the Sewing Bee book that was with the last series, the one that I did quite a lot of patterns for, there's a suggestion for what to do with sari silk. Nice dress that you can do with sari silk. Oh, Janet, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. That's great. Janet's just done my overlocker class, and she said she highly recommends it. That's great. Thank you. Sue said she's just doing a Tesco order. She needs spiced rum.
Yes, you do. Unfortunately, today won't be the spiced version because I drank all my spiced rum.
Oh,
but
yeah. We've still got some Bacardi.
We've got some other rum, yeah.
This is supposed to be a sewing thing, not a...
Yes, you do need spiced rum though, Sue. I can also give you the other ingredients later. Cocktails and sewing go together, Mark.
I missed Catherine's. Hold on.
Oh, she said, where are people putting their photos of their makes?
I've got a separate page called Midhurst Sewers, Catherine. So if you just look for Midhurst Sewers page and ask to join, you can put them there. You can put them on Claire's Threads, but Midhurst Sewers is a bit easier for people to see it. So yes, go look for Midhurst Sewers, and then you can see all the makes and put your own makes on there as well. What's Julia done?
Julia met Sophie, the Countess of Wessex.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, that's brilliant, Julia. How nice. It's so nice when you get that sort of thing, isn't it? When you get appreciated. That's lovely. Jen's saying she loves working with sari silk, and she's made the dress from the Sewing Bee book. That's great. It's a good pattern, isn't it? I worked with Wendy Gardner on that one. She did a couple of samples, and we discussed about putting the where to put the borders and things like that. In fact, she made two, and that was the first one she made. The second one, which was a really fancy sari, didn't get put in the book, but that was pretty as well. She says she's good.
Janet said that the Sewing Bee book on Amazon is over £40.
Oh, blimey, that's the one that's from the last one with the pink cover. Oh, goodness. Wow. I don't know how much. The new one's probably a lot cheaper, isn't it? But I expect it'll go down in price. I expect everyone's buying sewing books at the moment. So yes, all the as I was saying, all the Facebook Lives are now on YouTube, and I also put in the description below all the bits and pieces we've used in the workshops, the recipes for Amy's cocktails, any workshops that we've talked about, and the pattern info for what we were wearing, the fabrics, all that sort of thing. So all of that's on YouTube now as well, so you can somewhere else for you to watch it. Oh, Jen's saying you can get that book from the Works or Costco for a lot less. Yeah, Jen reckons the Sewing Bee books have gone up in price because of the Sewing Bee on television being popular.
And being on BBC One as well.
Yeah, so they put the price, so the books have been more expensive on Amazon. So yeah, have a look at the Works or Costco, because at one point it was only about £10, that book. So yeah, do have a look. So as well as that, this week, what else have we been doing? Oh, you may have received your copy of Sew Today this week. That's always a lovely thing to have come through the post, isn't it? So you can have a look, get lots of inspiration from there. There may be a feature in there from somebody you know. About
Very famous columnist.
about sewing with sheer fabrics. There's some really good things in this magazine this month. I think it has definitely got better recently. I think since they've gone in with Simplicity and McCall's, they've revamped it all. It's the same editor, still the lovely Marilyn who edits it. But there's a really good article about trouser fitting in here. Barbara says she got a copy of the book. She's sure she didn't pay £40 for it. No, I don't think you should pay £40. It wasn't that when it was new. And Patricia's got all the books. They're nice to collect, aren't they? And all the patterns are in the back, so you can trace them off or you can use them. So yeah, the pink cover one is the one that I did with Wendy. So yeah, this is a great magazine. If you haven't got it, you can get it by subscribing to Sew Direct. You get the magazine every couple of months, and you also get half-price patterns from Sew Direct. So it is good. Oh, I didn't put my name on the front, but I did say sewing with sheer fabrics on the front.
Whoa, front cover columnist this time.
Oh, Linda said her hairdryer was on. So it's Sew Today magazine, Linda, that we were looking at. Waterstones had the book for £22, Catherine says, so that's good. Yes, it has. Yeah, there's a couple of adverts in there, Patricia, for my online classes as well in the magazine. Yeah, they're very kindly let me have an advert. Yeah, so Sew Today magazine, Linda, you can get it from Sew Direct. It used to be available in WH Smith's, but I think they only do it for subscription now. But it's a good magazine. Lots of sewing info and lots of inspiration. All the different patterns from the different pattern companies. What else have you all been up to this week? What did I see? Oh, lovely Mary. Mary made a bag. She used the pattern that we gave out with the sewing retreat, Ames. After the sewing, we had to postpone our sewing retreat, obviously, very short notice this year. But we still sent the goodie bags out to everybody, and there was a McCall's pattern for making bags in it. Morning, Dan. Dan's come to look at the cocktails, I know. Yeah, there was a pattern for a bag in it, and Mary's made up the pattern into one of the lovely bags. It was really good. Suzanne's Sew Today hasn't arrived yet.
Oh.
I only got mine yesterday. Sue's been refashioning last year's summer clothes. That's always a good thing to do. I saw Susanna made a lovely dress for her granddaughter and a maternity top for her daughter as well. So there's lots of sewing going on. It's really nice to see what you've all been making. So keep posting the pictures. So if you're not already on the Midhurst Sewers page, do just look for it online and request to join. Patricia's saying Tesco's always have the Sewing Bee books cheapest. They're a good value, even when you pay full price for them. They're good value actually, because they have so many patterns in them. So the other thing I've been doing this week is it should have been Thread Festival at the Farnham Maltings next weekend, and we would have been going there. Dan's been drinking since 6 a.m.
Blimey.
That's excessive.
Lockdown rules.
Yeah, it's lockdown. There's no time, no day at the moment, is there? So, but as I said, Thread Festival would have been next weekend, and we were going to have a stand, and I was going to be teaching a few workshops over the weekend as well. But obviously, that's been postponed till the autumn. They're hoping to do September, but it might get pushed a little bit further on than that. So what they're going to do is a virtual Thread Festival next weekend. It's going to be on Instagram, so anyone who's got tickets will probably get notified, but do have a look on their website. So I'm going to be involved. Not quite sure how much I'm going to be involved. Anyway, I've given them all the information. There's a virtual list of all the exhibitors who would have been at Thread Festival on the Farnham Maltings website. I'll put a link up later on.
Sue's asking Dan, have you just got home? Because you're not usually up at this time.
So Sue and I stayed with Dan in Harrogate. So so Justin, so it's postponed, but they're doing a virtual version. So do have a look on the website. You'll see all the people who would have been there. We've all done posts and links to our websites and talking about what we would have been doing if we'd been there. They're going to do some interviews with some of the stall holders next Saturday on Instagram, and they're going to have a virtual sewing quiz, I think, Saturday evening, hosted by Charlotte, who won the sewing bee the year before last. Janice just said that Waterstones have to book £25.
Much better.
Yeah, that's a good price. So have a look this weekend. I'll put some more information up as I get it. They really have literally just planned to do it this week. So, morning, Sally. How are you?
Hi, Sally.
I was just saying about Thread Festival, which is being postponed to the autumn, but they're doing virtual Thread Festival next weekend. So we've all done our entries for their website and for Instagram. There's going to be lots of things going on Instagram next Saturday and a quiz in the evenings. So I've given a prize for the quiz night. But I'll let you know more information as I find out, and I'll post some links on the Claire's Threads page as we find out more about it. So yeah, that's going to be fun. I'm glad they're doing that because it's going to be fun next week, and I'll let you know what's going on. So what else have you been up to this week? It's so lovely to follow what you're all doing. Amy's been crazy busy making masks.
Well, yes. It's the government's fault.
Yeah. And also because you got some lovely Liberty fabric
And
as well.
yeah, I have a Liberty listing.
Morning, Clark. How are you? What have you been up to? Nice to
Clark.
see you. So what did you think of the sewing bee this week then? I really loved it because it was 80s. That's my era. I love the 80s and all that shoulder pad stuff. I remember having all those shoulder pads. Sally saying something for the weekend. Oh, Clark's finished her scrubs. That's good. Yeah, I'll still have my live next Saturday, Patricia. We'll still do that. We'll work around it. So, oh, Suzanne had an MRI scan this week. That must have been scary, Suzanne. Was it scary going into the hospital? I expect they're so well organised though, aren't they? So yeah, Sue liked the sewing bee this week. She said it was better than the other 2 weeks. So they did a nice jacket, didn't they? They didn't give us much information, but I could see they'd obviously been putting interfacing in and overlocking all the edges and everything. And Matt's and Claire's jackets were lovely, weren't they? Very excessive shoulder pads. I've done my ode to an 80s jacket. This is my blazer. It hasn't got the big shoulder pads in, but I thought white linen was very 80s. Very Don Johnson from Miami Vice. That's gone straight over Amy's head.
No idea.
Oh, thank you, Clark. This is Clark saying she loved my dress. I'll stand up and show you. This is my dress here. It's made in a t-shirt fabric. It's a pattern from Marfy. Those of you who come to the sewing room now, I quite like Marfy patterns. Sally made the sewing pattern from Sewing Bee, but she made the colour block one. Oh yes, in the 80s, Sally, you'd have been making wedding dresses, wouldn't you? So there would have been lots of those ruffles and frills. My wedding dress was very ruffly as well from the 80s. Oh, Gilly reckons that the garment of the week should have been Matt's jacket. I thought that as well, actually.
Justine said Nicole to win.
Yeah, Nicole or Matt Matt got a bit flustered this week, didn't he? So, but Linda's saying she loves Don Johnson. See?
Clark, the pattern company is Marfy.
Yeah, Marfy, Marfy. They're an Italian pattern company, and they have some lovely designs. Actually, all their designs are done with illustrations, and you can buy the patterns from them direct. But they come in a little packet. I should have brought one home with me, shouldn't I? They come in a little packet which is just the pattern. There are no instructions, there's no seam allowances, so you have to work it all out yourself. You have to print the pattern off their website and then work out how to make it all yourself. So I do a class. I wonder what the angry face was for, Linda. It should be a happy smiley face for Don Johnson. So Marfy, it's a Marfy pattern, so you have to sort of work it out yourself how to make it. So Patricia, you're a bit like copy it, make it, when we had to work out our own instructions. When you copy your own clothes, you have to work out the construction details.
Jane likes a Marfy.
Yeah, Jane likes a Marfy pattern. They're slightly more advanced designs, and you have to really think about how you're going to do the construction. So it's good fun. I think it should have been laughing faces for Don Johnson. We all loved Don Johnson in the 80s. Yeah, so have a look at Marfy online. They're an Italian company, but yeah, they're not the easiest ones to do. I do a class which is an introduction to Marfy, so just to give you an idea of how you can work with their patterns. I'm not doing one till next year now though. Clark's saying thank you for the tip about neck printer. They're great, aren't they? I just got a neck printer pattern this week. Yeah, I think, yes, Sally's saying that she thinks that Claire might be the one that wins the sewing bee because they're not showing much of her, and she's really good, isn't she?
Bloody Marfy patterns.
Sally, you love a Marfy pattern. It's difficult because, it's a lot of work. There's a lot more work. You have to really think about it, a Marfy pattern. Yeah, Sally wasn't as pleased with her Marfy dress.
Justine wants a copy make it class.
Oh yes, I will be doing. I'll try and do an online one of that. Jane likes the Marfy. Jane's done lots of Marfy patterns. I think I've posted quite a few pictures on the Claire's Threads page of Jane's Marfy dresses and jackets. Yeah, everyone's thinking that Claire will win. She's really good, isn't she? And she just gets on and she just finishes things nicely. Oh, Sally, we could have altered your dress. Sally's saying that her dress went in the bin. Yes, it is technical. I put this dress here as well because I wanted to show you that I didn't waste the fabric. This is the Maker's Atelier wrap dress that I did with the other bits of the fabric. So that was a bit easier to do than this one. Jen loves it. Jen's made a Marfy dress, haven't you, Jen? And Jen wants to copy and make it as well. It's really interesting. I just don't know at the moment. Nicole, like you say, Sally, Claire's quite safe with what she does, and Nicole's a bit more out there, isn't she? Jen says Claire's a customer of hers, and also I know that she's a friend of Claire who's on here as well, Claire Mole. She knows Claire from the Sewing Bee. She's lovely. She's coming out of herself a bit as well, isn't she? I thought it was great when she put her jacket on this week. What did you think of the high vis challenge?
God,
they're not my favourites.
Those challenges, honestly.
I mean, how can you be creative with a high vis?
Better than a laundry bag, I guess.
Oh, Jen's reckoning that Liz was good this week, wasn't she? Yeah, I didn't like her. Well, she tried to do a puffball skirt, didn't she? It didn't quite come together with the puffball skirt. I remember the puffball skirt. See, all of us who were there in the 80s remember puffball skirts, rah-rah skirts, shoulder pads. What about the cocktail dresses then? I think I love those cocktail dresses. I know I wore those dresses in the 80s.
Do you still have them?
Some of them.
Yeah,
Dig them out. In the attic I've probably got them.
I remember your red lace one.
Yeah, that was sort of late
red and black,
early 90s. That
oh
one,
yeah.
There was lots of strapless dresses, and Suzanne's going, you said it, Amy, when I said about the high vis.
Yeah.
Oh, Clark's applying for next year.
Yeah, do it, Clark. Do it.
Yes, you should. Yes, do apply for it, Clark. You'd be
great.
Yeah, we had sequins and we had lots of shiny fabrics, didn't we, in the 80s as well? I had a shiny pink.
No, apparently there were no sequins in the 80s.
Yeah, there was. I had sequins and I remember actually having, I'm not going to say, a sequin boob tube. I'm sure that would have been 70s rather than 80s. But yeah, I had some quite shiny fabrics and yes, like as we were saying, big shoulders, small waists, and then puffable skirts, rah-rah skirts. Yeah, it's a shame that Therese's dress was beautiful, wasn't it? But because she hadn't done so well in the first two challenges.
Oh, and poor Matt with his pattern cutting disaster.
It's awful he got so upset. But the pattern was completely wrong because the darts were under the arm. I'm not quite sure what went wrong with his pattern. It's such a shame.
Don't self-draft on the sewing bee.
Yeah, you need to practice these things. Do you know what, Patricia? I thought you'd love. I thought of you with Nicole's with those two colours. I thought, yeah, that would suit Patricia really well. Suzanne said she had beautiful white boots in the 80s.
Oh, I've got some white boots. I could have worn some. No.
I had white court shoes, and white ankle boots. Oh, Sally saying she had a sequin edge to her jacket that she wore with velvet knickerbockers. What was I thinking?
I think we need to pull out some pictures of these 80s where...
Yeah, if you're going to go for a clock, don't be doing self-drafted patterns.
Don't do it.
But go for it. It'd be great fun to see you on the sewing bee.
Yeah, we need lots of the Midhurst sewers on the sewing bee.
Yeah, it'd be so good.
Who else would apply?
Linda's saying she wishes she could fit into her 80s clothes now. Yeah, I'm sure I think I'd fit into many of my 80s clothes. So, white PVC boots and hot pants.
Blimey!
What's Claire saying? She wore white leather pixie boots to school in the... Oh yeah, I had white leather pixie boots. Yeah, I think that's the thing though, Jen. Jen's saying that she thinks that Matt was allocated a curvier model than he practiced for, but the whole point of that last one is to be able to fit a model, isn't it? So
at least if he had a bought pattern, he would have other sizes he could have worked to.
Yeah, even so, you check the measurements. Clark's saying she'd wear the hot pants and white boots now. Yeah, Jane should apply.
Pat's saying Jane should apply.
Yeah, she'd whiz through. Suzanne saying she was looking through family photos. Oh, I wanted some early photos. I know, in the 80s, I had quite big hair. I had a perm in the 80s. And then I had it cut really short because it was small, because my hair's massive. Yeah, Jen, you should go for it. And that's the hard thing. Actually, is that it's the pressure, isn't it? I don't know if I'd enjoy it very much.
I don't like it. You're given 3 hours to make a tailored jacket.
Clark saying, "Go on, Jane. Deadline Sunday." Jen saying, "Definitely Jane."
Go on, Jane. Get a chant going.
Yeah.
Jane, Jane, Jane. She's gone very quiet, that Jane Fields. Everyone's saying Jane, do it.
Charlie's saying he had hair in the 80s. I love the 80s. Looking back at some of the music, like Duran Duran and all that sort of thing. So he's saying absolutely no. Okay.
But you're the speediest sewer we know.
Sally, she got through to the last round for this year. Are you going to apply again this year, Sally? I think you should. You should. You did
You'd be
so
great,
well.
Sally.
You would be great on it. It's really disappointing that they didn't take you through. I think you even went up to the live bit, didn't you, as well?
Janet used to give herself an afro.
It was very exciting, wasn't it, Sally, last year? We had our fingers crossed for you. Justine saying you have to do a 1-minute video this time. Oh, goodness. They've got an application, so you have to do a 1-minute video. So he's not going to go through all that this year. It was quite stressful, wasn't it? And it did mean that you missed a few classes as well, didn't it? So that was not good. blimey, Linda, you were busy in the 80s. Oh, Sally got down to the last 15. I know, you were so close.
Jane doesn't like the programme.
Doesn't like it. And I think we've made her watch it. It's a bit like, you know, Strictly Come Dancing and all those ones, Jane. You don't like those, do you?
You have to watch it though to keep up with the sewing room chat.
The producers would love Jane, the facial expressions. Yeah, that's the trouble, Patricia, isn't it? Just saying that's why Therese had problems, because she's really good and she likes to think about it.
It's also the not finishing off on the insides I would struggle with.
It is a struggle, isn't it? They didn't talk about the interfacings or anything. It is a bit of a shame.
Jane's getting heckled now.
Okay, let's move on. I need to do a demo, don't I? Because it's nearly past. Yeah, I agree with you, Sally. Sewing's not a competitive sport. You're supposed to relax and enjoy it. That's the thing, is enjoy the process. I'm amazed, actually. I think Liz did really well to get that dress to fit her model with your one shoulder. That's a really difficult thing to fit, and you need time to fit that sort of dress. Not something that you need to do in a rush. And that's why Therese's dress looks so good, because it was a bit of an easier one to fit. It was funny with those shoulder pads, double shoulder pads. We use the really smallest shoulder pads now. Okay, I'm going to do a demo. I move my magazine out the way today, because I'm going to do a little demo now.
I've just realised that the small tripod is in Midhurst.
Oh, of course, that's the one thing about filming in Midhurst. We forgot to bring the small tripod.
But it's fine, I think I can do this.
Amy's going to move in. So the first thing I wanted to show you today was we've been doing overlocking this week, and there's a couple of things that people always ask me about with overlocking, is how to finish these thread chains. So I thought I'd just show you that today, and then I'll look at some denim. So thread chains, obviously if it's going to be going into another seam, that's fine, because you can just cut it off with the next seam. But if it's going to be at the end of a piece of fabric, you want to finish these chains off and not have them all unravelling. So you could untangle the chain and tie some knots. The other thing I do quite a lot is I use fray check. This is a very lightweight glue, and you just put that onto the end, let it dry, and then trim off the end, the chain. The other thing that I've been using quite a lot is this is called a, I can't remember what it's called. It's a mending needle. That's right. It's a mending needle. It's a mending needle. It's got a tiny little latch hook on the end here. And actually I used this week on my Linton jacket, because I had a pull in the thread, and you can put it underneath the fabric, catch the pull in the latch, and then pull it back between the layers. So it's good for that sort of thing, but it's also very good for finishing off your overlocking, because you can put it underneath your stitches on the back, catch the chain in the latch hook at the end, which is always really fiddly when I'm trying to do it on the live, and then you can just pull it back through. So you just pull it back through, and then you can just pull it off. Obviously on the live it's going to come undone, but it doesn't come undone. You can pull it back through and then trim off the threads from underneath. There we go. So you can trim them off there. So that's another little thing you can use for neatening your ends. Yeah, Sally's saying she becomes much more intentional about her sewing now. Don't want to be just randomly making things. And Jen's saying the bra caps or shoulder pads made us stand a laugh.
Sue likes that gadget.
Yeah, it's a good gadget, this one. It looks like the small
here, I'll put it close.
seam rippers. Again, Amy's going to put that close. So it's good for pulling through snags on things like wool and that sort of thing, but it's also good for neatening your thread chains on the overlocking.
See the little hook.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about denim now. I love a bit of denim. If you're thinking of making jeans or anything like that. Janet's saying I'm looking brown. It's all that clearing the sheds and filling up skips I've been doing, Janet. I know. So when you're working with denim, there are a few things to think about. First of all, choosing the correct weight of fabric for your project. Most domestic machines, Linda's saying she's a darning needle, which is, yeah, that's really good for pulling your threads through. I'm not going to get distracted. I'll let you do that.
Yeah. I'm just getting in the right position.
Otherwise I lose what I'm talking about. So yeah, choose the right denim for your project. Most domestic machines will be quite happy with a light or a medium denim. The heavier machines, or you can use heavier fabrics on. But light or medium weight denims are great. They also come a little bit with some stretch. So think about how much stretch you want. For most jean projects, I like about 2% stretch really. No more than 4%. Otherwise you're looking at sort of leggings or jeggings then really. So about 2% stretch for your jeans.
Suzanne likes the gadget too.
It's a good thing, mending. It's a good thing to have in your sewing box, Patricia. When you get your denim, always wash it. Denim is surface dyed, so you always end up with some of the dye coming out. So press out that centre crease, neaten the ends with the overlocker or with a zigzag, and put it in the machine to get out some of that surface dye. You always end up with blue on your hands when you're making jeans, but that will get most of it out, so you can see what it's going to look like when you make it up. Once you've got your denim, one of the things that's really one of the things that you notice when you're making jeans is Sally said there's a gadget she doesn't have.
They are available on the Claire Tyler website. Mending needle put into the search. It was a gadget that Prim released last year and we thought it was brilliant, but kept forgetting to use it.
I know,
so.
I've got it by the overlocker now.
Yeah.
Is there a test for stretch? Most of the time it'll say on the labels, Claire, what the stretch is. It'll say 2% lycra normally.
Or elastane.
Or elastane, yeah. It will say it on the label. So that's how you would know. When you're making jeans, you're often, when you buy jeans, the denim's often distressed. Oh, there's a tacking thread in that sample. And you can do that yourself using sandpaper. So what I like to do is grab a piece of sandpaper, and then you get your denim. If you've got a bigger piece, I'd put it around a wooden block actually, and then just rub it on your denim, and that will just give you some distressed. So where you want to have the distressing, like the front, maybe down the front of the leg, so cut your pattern piece out and then lay the piece on your leg, and then you can run the sandpaper down and you'll get a nice distressed bit down the front. On the hems, you can just do over the hem here, so you could do this bit here like that, and you get a little distressed bit on the bottom. That's a really good thing to do if you're taking up jeans, because you know when you take up a pair of jeans it doesn't look the same, but the thing to do is to run some sandpaper along the bottom, and it just makes them look a bit more worn. Be careful not to catch the stitching though, because it might pull the stitching out. So here we go, we're going to add sandpaper to our sewing boxes as well, Sally. I don't sell that though. So a bit of sandpaper.
Any DIY store.
Yeah. Robert Dias or something like that.
Other shops are available.
So yeah, if you're doing lots of distressing, put your sandpaper around a block of wood, and then you can really go for it on the distressing. The other thing you can do for distressing is to use a hammer. So something else for your sewing box is a hammer. So you can distress lots of it to make lots of, I won't bang too hard, this way.
Yeah.
So I have to do Amy's hand signals. You can distress your denim with a hammer, particularly over this area here. So the reason we break needles when we're sewing with denim is because it's so thick. And you can get all sorts of things like what they call hump jumpers and put a piece of card behind your needle. But if you bash this bit here with the hammer, it flattens it all and you can stitch straight through. So if you're distressing, you can bash it from the front. If you don't want to distress, just bash it from the back. I teach this at the classes at the knitting and stitching shows. And I normally have about 16 or 18 people on this class. And they're all hammering away. And everyone else is like, what's going on in that room? Because we're hammering our denim. So another thing to add to your sewing box would be a little hammer for doing your denim. Particularly good on the corner of pockets and that sort of thing, and for your seams. So a little hammer. When you're sewing your seams, I mentioned a few weeks ago about flat fell seams, but I wanted to talk to you about them in relation to when you're making jeans. When you're working with the denim, another classic thing that you see on jeans is the top stitching, and that's the bit that really makes them stand out. And I like to use a top stitching thread. This is the Gutermann top stitching thread, or extra strong thread. So I use that on the top of the machine, so for the needle, and just a normal thread underneath in the bobbin. When you're working with this thread, I would recommend use a top stitch needle. So top stitch needle, which I haven't got on the table here, no I haven't. Top stitch needle has a slightly larger eye, and it has a groove down the front, so that when you stitch you get nice defined stitches like this. You can see that's a really nice top stitch, so it doesn't squash the thread. So when you're doing a flat fill seam, the first thing you do is put your fabrics right sides together and stitch them. So you've got your first row of stitching there. You then press to one side.
Right sides together.
Wrong sides together.
Oh,
Did I say
you
right?
said right, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
That was
I
confusing.
was just checking. I was just checking. So flat fill seams, wrong sides together. Stitch your seam allowance. I think I mentioned that when we did this before, that you need at least 1.5 centimetre seam allowance when you're doing a flat fill seam. Because what you need to do once you've done your first part of your seam is press everything to one side like this. So you press it all to one side here, like that. And then you trim off, so turn it up and trim off the underneath seam allowance to about half. So I've trimmed that off, and then I'm going to take my hot hammer and turn over 0.5 centimetre and press it like that. So the longer one you're going to turn over by 0.5 centimetre and press. So it now looks like this. I'm going to put a couple of pins in to hold it, and then I'm going to stitch close to the pressed edge. So I'm going to do that. You won't be able to move the camera.
I can take it off.
You can. Oh, Patricia's saying she did my denim class at the Knit and Stitch show. It's good fun. We had lots of fun with the hammers, didn't we, Patricia? So I've threaded up my machine with the top stitch thread on the top and a standard thread underneath. And I've made my stitch length 3.5. And I am just going to, so you could, I've left the foot of the machine all the way over there. Look, hold on while I just grab the foot of the machine.
Hold the line, callers.
Okay, so I'm just going to check where my stitching is. Might move it over a tiny bit. When you're doing top stitching on your denim, you'll need to do things like moving the needle or lining up to the edge of your foot. So you can use a ditch foot if you want to for this, but make a note of what you're doing, because then every time you come to do a bit of top stitching or edge stitching, you're doing exactly the same thing. And the best way to stitch a straight line is not to look at the needle. So I'm lining up the, just make sure that's cool, yes it has. I'm lining up my stitching line to the mark on the foot here, so that I can just follow that, so I'm not looking at my needle. Don't use a thread cutter on a top stitching thread. It doesn't tend to like it. It tends to shred it. So, just gonna, and I don't do reverse either. So I'm just going to pull that out. And there we go. It's a nice flat fell seam. That's the right side and that's the wrong side. So that's the classic seam that you would do on your jeans. So it's worth practicing a few times to make sure that you get the right stitch lengths as well, and you know where you're going to be positioning your needle for each bit. Patricia and Jen are having a chat about their dress. So that's how you do the seams. For the hem, you would turn it up twice. Here, I would do it, I haven't got my iron here, so I'm just doing this by eye, but you would press it up 1.5 and 1.5. Now you'll need to stitch this from the right side, so I normally pin it and then press it from the right side and press it and then turn it over. So, because what I want to do, I'm going to just pin that for now. One of the things that's really a good place to distress your denim is here where you're going to be stitching. See when you can just about see the fold through? If you get your sandpaper and distress it before you stitch it, you get that nice little distressed line along there, which is quite nice. I need to do it a bit longer really. It's only a sample, so I'm not going to do loads, but yeah, just distress it right where the fold is and you get a nice line coming through. Like hand stitching, I could do this for ages. And I'm going to repin it from the front. Here. I'm going to hammer this. Bear with me. That's what you want to watch on a Saturday, isn't it? Me hammering some fabric.
Not really.
And then I'm going to stitch this hem. So now I can line up that point on my foot to the distressed line that I've done there, and then I'll know that I'm catching the fold underneath. Take my pins out. I'm hoping that I've hammered it enough to be able to go straight over that seam. There we go, straight over. And there's the hem done. So denim's not quite so scary to do, is it? It's quite easy to work with as long as you've got your sandpaper and your hammer. Coated cotton would be nice with a flat fell seam actually, Susan. Yes, it would be. You can always get the same look by stitching your seam right sides together and overlocking from the wrong side, but I just think this looks really nice on the you're doing jeans, to do it all the traditional ways of doing it. The other thing I wanted to show you was about the back pocket on jeans. So that's always an area that has lots of top stitching and you need to be really accurate on. So I've cut out a back pocket here. This is what you'd have on your jeans. This is somewhere, when we're doing things like denim skirts and jeans at the sewing room, we can get really fancy with these back pockets. I've got an embroidery machine up at Midhurst, and we often do nice designs on there, either with the top stitching thread or with the embroidery machine. Oh, you see, Sally's going to do the jeans class. So the first thing you would do with your pocket is to turn it over twice and top stitch and edge stitch. So I've done that at the top there. And then I've used my hot hammer again to fold under all the edges by 1.5 centimetres and give them a good press. When you're pressing, if you're struggling to get your denim to lie flat, use a clapper. These are wooden clappers. You can really press down with them. So a bit like the hammer, you can really press down and get nice flat edges with your clapper. So once you've made up your pocket, you're going to pin it onto your back of your jeans. Now traditionally jeans would have two going around the edge here, and it's really important to be accurate with your edge stitching and then your top stitching, that you turn in the same place. So the way you do that, it's a bit longer than this, yeah, I'm going to use this, is you lay a ruler or a straight edge from the corner of the pocket at the bottom to the corner of the pocket at the top, and draw a line there. So I'm using this is my Tailor's soap, which comes off when you iron it. Another line at the corner there, and another one on this corner. And then when you're coming down with your edge stitching, you know exactly, that one's not quite in the corner there. You know exactly where you're going to turn. So you can turn at the chalk mark, and then when you come down again, the second line, you know exactly where to turn for the second line of stitching as well. So I could do that now, but I don't know how accurate it's going to be live. I might do that off camera and then post a picture later.
Good idea.
Yeah. Because it'd be a bit boring me going all the way around that twice.
Quite a long process.
But the main thing is that you know exactly where you're going to turn on both lines of stitching. And again, top stitching thread in the top and normal thread in the bobbin. Just a couple of things about alternatives you could do to top stitching. You could use, I don't know, you can't really see these samples, but you could use the triple stretch stitch on your sewing machine. If you haven't got a top stitch thread and you want to get the same sort of look, you could use the triple stretch stitch on the machine. That does a really good look. And you could put 2 threads through 1 needle. That gives a really nice top stitch look as well. So if you haven't got the top stitch thread, you can still create a nice look with either of those alternatives.
Suzanne's saying her tailor's chalk arrived in little pieces.
Oh no, I wrapped it up and everything.
I'll have to send you another one.
I'll send you another one, Suzanne.
In a box, maybe.
Yeah, I've got to send you a tailor's board, haven't I? So I will send you another one with your tailor's board, Suzanne. I'm so sorry. I tell you what it was. It's because you had lots of pattern weights, wasn't it? So I expect with the pattern weights in the box.
Oh, it got crushed.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Suzanne. I'll send you another one because it's really useful stuff.
Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Wendy. How are you? Family Zoom. Yes, of course. Got to do family Zooms.
Priorities.
Yes. And then lastly, when you're doing buttonholes on your jeans, I would recommend not using the top stitch thread, but to use a matching normal polyester thread. You can practice the top stitch thread if you want to, but they do tend to get all bunched up. So I just use a normal thread that's the same colour as my top stitch thread to do my buttonholes. And then stitch your buttonholes, put the fray check down the middle and let it dry, and then cut open your buttonhole with your buttonhole chisel.
I did my last jeans with a normal stitch buttonhole, and then I used a top stitching thread with a hand sewn buttonhole stitch.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
around
that
the
looks
edge.
nice. Yeah, so a bit like we do on
So
the
it's
couture
really
jacket.
reinforced, yeah, like
Yeah.
a couture one.
So go over it by hand with a hand buttonhole stitch. That would look really nice.
Yeah.
Really nice. And then lastly, when you're working with jeans, you can get some really fancy jeans buttons, and jeans buttons are really easy to put on because they are done with a hammer. So you just push them through and then hit them with a hammer. And the same with rivets as well. You can get rivets and hit them with a hammer. So a hammer is definitely a essential addition to your kit.
Justine said she used triple stretch stitch on her couture trousers. And Suzanne would also like a mending needle, please.
Well, send me an email with a list and I can put it in with your tailor's
Jen
board
is
when it
asking about the
comes.
buttonhole chisel. Why doesn't she have one?
Wow. Buttonhole chisels, there's one in that box there, Ames, I can show it.
Oh.
Buttonhole chisels are brilliant, Jen. Can't understand why you haven't got a buttonhole chisel.
Yeah. Sorry, it's that noise.
There we go.
Forget
look.
where I am.
Buttonhole chisel, and then you can just put a board underneath and just cut your buttonholes open. And again, you can hit this with the hammer. You don't have to push down. You can just put it in the right place and hit it with a hammer. Justine's managed jeans buttonholes with a top stitch thread. Yeah, you just got to fiddle about with the stitch length. Yeah, fiddle about the stitch length, and then you might be able to do it. So definitely do a sample. Janet put an order in with me yesterday saying, but she'd wait till today in case she wanted to add anything else.
So Taylor's soap.
Yeah. So this is slightly different from the Taylor's chalk, which I mentioned before, because it actually does disappear when you iron. So also you can use the friction pens, which disappear when you iron, but they don't do any pale colours. So the Taylor's soap is a really good.
Suzanne's asking, should you use fray check on all buttonholes?
I do. Yeah, I do, especially linen, things like that. I mean, always test the fray check on your fabric. Just to make sure it's not going to mark. But yeah, I tend to use fray check on all buttonholes, Suzanne. It's really good. Really good. I'll go through these
If it
later.
does mark, I've put it on very thinly with the end of a pin.
That's a good
rather
idea.
than letting it run out of the tube.
Yeah, rather than pouring it out.
So if it is going to mark like a silk.
Because if you're doing a very small buttonhole, sometimes they're the top's coming for that one. Really poured that. If you're doing it on a very small buttonhole, yeah, like Amy says, put it onto the end of a pin and run it down. You can also put it onto the wrong side instead of the right side. That often helps as well. So you always do a sample buttonhole before you do it on your garment, so you can also test the fray check on your fabric as well. Yeah, some people do use their seam rippers for opening buttonholes, and I always suggest that you go from one end to the middle and then turn it round, get the other end to the middle. But yeah, Jen, I do remember we did have a little incident with a seam ripper in Brighton, didn't we, on your lovely Hepburn shirtwaister. Well, I'm sure we worked it out. We just did something. There's always something we can do. So that's all my tips. Oh, there's one other thing I just wanted to show you. I haven't got these. I'm just getting some of these in stock. This is a fun thing which Amy played with on her last pair of jeans. It's a twin jeans needle. So when you're doing your top stitching here, Sally's saying fray check on chill. On silk. Yeah, always test it, Sally. Just for the buttonholes. These are twin jeans needles. So you could, when you're doing your straight seams, you could have this on your machine and have 2 lines of stitching which are absolutely parallel, and they come in different widths as well. And you did these on your last set of jeans, didn't you?
Yeah.
So they'll be exactly the same.
Changed my life.
Yeah. Suzanne's got to go for lunch now. I know. Thank you, Suzanne. I'll speak to you soon. You can watch the cocktails on catch up. Yeah, so a twins jeans needle. I'm just getting, some of these are coming in next week actually. These are great because then you haven't got to worry about getting your stitching parallel. It's not so easy to do it around a pocket because you've got to turn corners, but the straight seams definitely, that's a really good one, and that's a Schmetz needle, which I like to use.
Jen would like a chisel added to her order, please.
Okay, I'll make a list and I'll be sending out PayPal invoices. I feel like Colville Fabrics sending out PayPal invoices. Yeah, so that's all my tips on working with denim. What's Jen asking? Quick question: Microtex or ballpoint needles for jersey? Ballpoint or stretch? You can try a Microtex, but if you get skip stitches, then go for a stretch needle. Barbara say yes. Barbara used the twin needle, didn't you, on your denim skirt? Yeah, because it is when you've got a lot of top stitching to do and you're doing lots of 2 lines of stitching. This is really good. It's really good. You get 2 nice even lines of stitching. So there'll be some of those on the website from next week. I'll get those in for us for next week. So did that answer your question, Jen? Because for stretch fabric, there's 2 types of needles you can get: stretch needles or ballpoint or jersey needles. And I use stretch needles for fabrics with lycra in them, and ballpoint needles for knitted fabrics. So it depends what type of fabric. Oh, hello, I'm back. I better look up at the camera now. Yeah. Yeah, I use a stretch needle for most things. 90% you'll use a stretch needle, and if that's skipping, then try a jersey or ballpoint. But yeah, stretch needle I would use 99% of the time. It works with most fabrics. So that's my demos for today. Look at all my lovely denim samples. That's because we're going to be working on jeans in the next week or so. I was getting all my bits out, my sandpaper. So I think Amy's going to come in now and do a little demo of her. She's got to go and get her ice first. So I hope that was helpful. Do let me know if you have any questions about working with denim. It's great. We do a denim skirt workshop and a jeans workshop in Midhurst. The denim skirt, we use the Merchant and Mills Classic pattern. So that's a really good denim skirt. Otherwise, we use the ginger jeans pattern.
Hi.
With Amy coming in. Sorry, moving all my stuff.
Hello, everybody. Cocktail time.
It's cocktail time. Yeah, it's 1 o'clock. Jen said, Barbara, I hope that's giving you lots of tips of working with your denim skirts or whatever you're using.
Tray. There's a lot of booze on this tray.
This is for you, Sue. This is your request.
This is Sue's request.
Oh, move my hammer out of the way.
Yes. So I still haven't been sewing at all for myself, so I have nothing to tell you about.
Apart from Liberty masks.
Apart from masks. Oh, thank you, Sally. This is a Vogue pattern, which I can't remember the number of, but I'll find it.
Oh, Debbie saying, this comes with the machines, Debbie. They don't sell these separately, unfortunately. It's a good idea, though, isn't it?
That tray, I know.
I'm hoping they will sell them separately, though.
Janet's saying that our voices are out of sync. Is anybody else experiencing out of sync?
Oh, don't know. I hope not.
Okay.
That's always really annoying. It's like a dubbed film.
So today we're going to be making Long Island iced teas. And a Long Island iced tea is quite alcoholic, as you can see. So generally, a Long Island has 5 white spirits.
Sue says she's ready, by the way.
Sue's ready. Okay, good. So it's 5 spirits. You've got rum, tequila, triple sec, gin, and vodka.
I might be sleeping this afternoon.
Yeah. You also need Coca Cola and lemon juice. And you put, so it's made in a shaker. Love the shirt. Thank you. This fabric is from Mood. It's a silk. Brushed silk from Mood in New York. I love it so much. It's one of my favourite shirts.
Yeah, Jane made it.
Jane also made it. Yeah, and it's actually tricky. What I want to do is I want to make it in a plain fabric, because actually there's all these little pleat details here, and there's an extra little tiny 1 centimetre panel, which you just can't see, that joins the shoulder to the shirt. So yeah, I'd like to make it again.
There's a lot more detail in it.
Yeah, and I extended my cuff because I wanted a big wide cuff, so I doubled my cuff, so I can either turn it back, or I can have it nice.
Did you do covered buttons on that?
I did covered buttons all down the front. Yeah, so I did self-covered buttons. Yeah, I love this, and it's really lovely because it's actually satin on the inside, so it feels nice. Okay, back to the Long Island. So in your shaker, pop some ice. Just put that there. And then each of the spirits is half a shot. This is per person, so it's about 12.5 mils, or you could use a tablespoon, which is 15 mils, and then it would be a bit of a smaller one. But we're going to go
Coke.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm making 2, so I'm going to do a shot of each. We need the pattern number.
We'll put the pattern number underneath.
I'll find it. It is still a current pattern, I believe. So there goes in my Bacardi white rum. In goes the tequila.
So that's gold tequila. But
this is gold tequila, which is fine, but it should be technically white tequila. Then triple sec or Cointreau. We used all the Cointreau on Cosmopolitans from the other week. So got triple sec now, which is the slightly cheaper version, but it's an orange liqueur. Of course, you could use Grand Marnier if you have that as well. Any orange liqueur. Okay, then we've got the vodka, which again, the Norwegian one might have been drunk with Cosmopolitans. So we're down to Absolute.
That's nice. I like Absolute.
Absolute's good.
It's a small bottle.
And actually, you could use Absolute Vanilla. Would give it a bit of a sweeter taste, which would work really well. Sue has asked about making it a spiced tea, which you would use spiced rum. And if you used the vanilla vodka, that would be really lovely with the spiced rum version. But this is just the classic one. So then you add in your gin. So we've done.
Can I talk to Nell quickly? Hi Nell, really nice to see you. Yes, you can. You can watch these Facebook Live. They'll be on the Claire's Face page after this one. You'll be able to catch up and watch all the sewing demo, and I'll be putting up onto the YouTube channel as well later. So,
Justine has put up the Vogue 1387.
Oh, that's right. Justine's made this.
It's also got a really nice little top on the pattern. So you've done your half a shot of each alcohol, and then you do 1 shot of lemon juice, fresh lemon juice squeeze, or you could use the bought one. Lime juice would also work. So obviously I'm making 2. I'm going to pop 2 in. And then we're going to give it a shake.
Susan, you've got marshmallow vodka.
Oh, well, I mean, it's kind of vanilla-y.
Yeah.
So we're just shaking the alcohol.
Oh, it's nice to see now. It's really cold.
So it's really cold to touch. Then in your glass, we're going to do some layering. So pop in your ice, which is all stuck to the bowl.
Do we need straws for this one?
We will need straws, but I forgot the straws. They're in the kitchen.
I can't even reach them.
Okay, so ice in the glass. And then you're going to put in your Coke first. So you probably want just about 2/3 of Coke in your glass. You're going to need both cans. This is a really healthy cocktail, obviously. All this sugar and alcohol.
Just one.
Okay, so your Coke's in. And then we're just going to really slowly pour in the alcohol. And it should.
Oh yes, Patricia, you did send a lovely picture of your top, and I will share that on the Midhurst Sewers page later. Thank you so much. It looks fantastic. It looks really good. We've been running up and down to Midhurst this week, so I'm a bit behind on my admin. So
there we go. It's just layering on top. Quite a lot of booze there. You could make it with Coke Zero. Yes, you could.
That'd be much.
Coke Zero would be
if you want to feel
probably
healthier.
And then garnish is just lemon. I couldn't really think of anything couture-y for this one. So just pop your lemon on there.
Hi, Sam.
Yeah.
We might do. No, we've got to go. We've got to put more stuff in the skip.
I'm just going to get a straw because it's going to be very...
They're in the drawer, cutlery drawer actually, yes. That's what I have.
There we go. That's your Long Island iced tea.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. So enjoy your boozy Saturday, everybody, with your Long Islands.
Cheers. I can't taste the alcohol.
No. You just need
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Long Island. You're very
I'll
welcome.
put the recipe up later for you.
Yeah.
So you can, if you fancy making a Long Island iced tea, there you go, Sue. Let us know how you get on. Cheers. It is quite yummy, actually.
It just tastes like Coke. It's quite dangerous.
It does. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. That is quite strong. So I hope you've enjoyed this week. It's been lovely to catch up with you all. So do keep in touch all week. Let me know what you're making all week. And we'll be here next week. And I'll let you know what's going on with virtual threads as well. I've lost my words already.
Oh dear. Drunk.
I forgot what I was going to talk about at the end. Yes, I'll let you know what's going on with virtual threads and how you can keep up with what we're doing on that. But we will be here next Saturday. Amy, you'll think of another, maybe margaritas next week.
Oh, margaritas.
I love a margarita.
We could do margaritas next
Yeah, if
week.
there's anything else you'd like to, any demonstrations you'd like me to do next week, do let me know. I'm quite happy to do whatever you like for next week. What's some interesting tips this week? Oh, thank you, Jen. We look forward to seeing everybody every Saturday. It's something we really look forward to. It's great.
Clark says, don't sew and drink, ladies. Just drink.
It does just taste like Coke, Sue. I've not had one of these for years.
Yeah.
I did one on a hen party many years ago. Cheers, Nell. That's why it's her favourite. So, oh look, I love Clark's little emojis. Good emoji work.
Yeah, good emoji work.
Metal zip shortening. Well, that's a good one. I'll do that next week if you like. See you all next week, everybody. It'll be lovely. Angel's got to
go. Lovely to see you.
We're going to go back to making masks.
We are.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for joining me again this week. It's lovely to see you. Keep in touch, and we'll see you all again next Saturday.
Bye.
Bye for now. Bye.